Sup?
Sup, yo.
Sup, bitches?
Welcome to Pillage Overload.
Are we at Pillage Overload?
We are at Pillage Overload.
Leave my ass in my seat.
It's at that time.
Alright. Oh, crap.
It's Sheshgar sexiness.
I know, we gotta check sexiness. Hey, it says I'm streaming now. Are we streaming?
Are we streaming?
Are we streaming?
Yes,
look,
we
look,
are.
Look
at us. Look at us.
It's always a good week when the pirates don't fuck up the live streaming, right? Does that work for you?
It works for me.
It worked for you? Okay, cool.
Hi, everybody.
Hello,
how we doing?
Welcome to Pillage Overload. Week 3? 4? I already lost track of time.
Week 50, episode 641.
Well, we're definitely up in the episode count, so that's where we're at. So, mic check. You got your mic on? Yeah.
Mic check.
Your mic's there, right?
Check,
yes.
check.
We happily watched last week's episode and realized that Ballast dropped the mic between his legs.
Yeah, that doesn't help to let you guys hear me. So
10 years later, week 2 slapping McFucknut farts. It's week something and 10 years later and 100 times over. So, ow, that hurt. Oh, you got a foot thruster.
Later that afternoon.
So we watched Doc G earlier a little bit before I had a little bit of distraction from family calling, but
that guy rocks, by the way.
80s night. He did 80s night. We didn't really get to totally enjoy the 80s night. So like a little bit of Elvis Presley within the 80s night, but maybe he'll do that next week. So, hello, Storybook Imaging.
Hello. Welcome to Pillage Overload.
Welcome to Pillage Overload. Come join our resident pirates.
We are pirates.
Parlay, grab a drink, and come tell a tale. We have lots of tales.
We have tales to tell.
So.
Dead men tell no tales.
So, yeah. Another week, another down. We don't have Captain Morgan. Yeah. That our weekly come to news forecast.
Sad face.
There is no Captain Morgan.
Breaking
in
news.
The House of Russo. So we're drinking Kraken. At least I got Kraken.
Hey.
I mean, if we can't get
Captain,
we get Kraken.
It's rum.
We'll go with that. So, so last week we had a supposed snowstorm that was rolling through here. We were supposed to get like 6 to 12 inches.
Down here, it's always supposed.
That's what she said.
She was about to get 6 to 12. True.
Yeah, and she got 2.
Mm.
Yeah, she was so disappointed with that one.
Feel sorry for her.
I do feel sorry for her too. It's not bad. It is rum. Oh yeah, it is rum.
It is rum. Technically. They call it rum on the outside of the bottle.
Well, why don't actually you had her you watched something recently that explained the rum that we drink versus quote unquote real rum?
Well,
what was the definition that you learned recently?
The amount of sugar that they put in the rum. Technically, real rum, they don't add sugar to it. So, like, for instance, a rum like Pusser's, they would not add...
Pusser's. That's my favorite.
They make it out of sugar and sugar cane, but they don't add sugar in the process of making the rum. It's just aged and barrel soaked. So a rum like Kraken, they add a whole shitload of sugar to it. So this gentleman was saying that when there's that much sugar added to it, it's technically a what do they call it? Like a liqueur.
Liqueur, yeah. You were talking about liqueur, like some of the other,
so
like
the different
Kahlua and all that kind.
Right. So the amount of sugar that you add to it depends on how, especially with spiced rum, because spiced rum is made to be sweeter. So if you see a spiced rum that has a lot of sugar in it, it's more of a liqueur than it is a spiced rum.
Which is most of the spiced rums on the market, aren't they?
Yeah. A spiced rum that isn't a liqueur, like, say, Kraken, um, gets the color from the barrel. So that's technically how that works.
You were even saying that bamboo, which is one of the sipping rums that we like a lot of, is still considered a liqueur because of the amount of sugar in it.
Yep.
So our search continues to find a true sipping rum that is true rum.
Like if you find a Jamaican rum like Appleton's or something like that, that's actually rum.
You know how much I hate Appleton's? Rum. It smells like fucking whiskey.
There's a huge. That's why they put the sugar in it, because it changes the taste of it. Makes it sweeter.
It's not just the taste. It's what it smells. I didn't mind the taste.
It helps with the smell too.
Well, I didn't mind the taste of Appleton. It was just the smell.
Yeah.
The smell just was like, I smell like I'm drinking whiskey.
Mm.
I didn't mind the taste of it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the feel of it either.
So that's the thing. So, if your rum is a little bit stronger, you're probably drinking regular rum rather than spiced rum or...
So even the 100 proof Captain Morgan rum we drink is called liqueur because of how much sugar's in it?
Technically,
That's actually really disappointing.
Yeah.
Makes me sad.
It's still...
Makes me more sad we can't get our hands on it.
rum, but... Meh.
It's boom bud, not a true sipping rum.
Bamboo.
Bamboo.
Yeah, bamboo's good shit, though. That stuff is... Oof.
Stop being a bitch. Because I don't like whiskey, fuck you. Fuck you.
Bamboo's a little expensive.
You and your whiskey app.
Look, we're talking about rum. We're pirates.
This is Pillage Overload. It's a rum show.
When you're doing your live stream, you can talk about whiskey all you want, but we pirates, we talk about rum. There you go. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Screw whiskey. Anyway. So, stop being a bitch. It's Bumba, not a true sipping rum. Yeah, words are hard. Wait, what, huh? Bamboo. Rum is the way. Rum is always the way.
Rum is the way.
Rum is my way.
Rum is the way to my heart.
Rum is the way to my kidneys, too.
Oh.
So, yeah, we are struggling with finding a rum. And then we actually found out our rum is not a rum. It's a liqueur, so we need to find a real rum.
Well, this is all according to this gentleman that I watched.
The one that you just watched.
Yeah.
It's YouTube. Who's real on YouTube?
Right. Whose opinion do we care about on YouTube? Ours.
Parlay Parts on YouTube. Come join our stream when we're not live. Anyway, do me a favor. Pull your lower lip over your head and swallow.
I'm guessing this was smoke.
How did you ever know? I can't remember if I got the name right. LOL. Yeah, you got close. It's Bamboo, not Bumba.
Yeah.
There's no A. It's all U's. It's all about you and me. So, yeah. Hey, JB Jr. What's up, bud?
What's going on, fella?
So this week, we plan on discussing who is a pirate.
Yeah. Who is...
Besides me and him.
Who is a pirate?
Who is a pirate? And the obvious Blackbeard.
Who's a pirate that you didn't know was actually a pirate? And there are a couple out there. We picked a couple of good ones, I think.
I think we did pick a couple of good ones this week. We picked one from the early age of Golden Age piracy.
Yes.
So, obviously, if you guys have hung out with us for the last several seasons, you understand that the Golden Age piracy starts from, like, the early 1680s to the late 1720s. There's, like, a two time frame era. We call it, like, the early and the late. The early was better for the pirates. The later was sucky for the pirates.
Sucky.
So, we actually picked...
it was sucky.
Actually, only one was from the early. The second one wasn't even from the Golden Age piracy. He was just called a pirate from what he did.
Yes.
Seal words are hard. History lesson, folks. Yes, history lesson. So which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the one we originally found? Or do you want to talk about... Oh.
With
William Dampier.
Mr. Dampier.
Mr. Dampier. Dampier. Is it feel damping here? So William Dampier is actually...
Oh my god.
That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I just kind of flew off the cuff on that one.
Does it feel Dampier?
Does it feel Dampier? William Dampier was actually a very prominent figure, not only in piracy, but also in just world navigation. He circumnavigated the globe, you said 3 times, right? 3?
3. As far as, yes.
We know. As far as we
know.
understand. Not even then bigger words come out of me. Was he a dapper damn man? No, he's a Dampier man. He was Dampier. Right, meow?
He was damp.
Do you know what I'm talking about, right, meow? Drink my rum.
Anyway, okay. Yeah, he led quite an interesting life, that guy.
What was fascinating that when we were doing more of our research, especially today or yesterday, was it yesterday or today?
It was today, mostly.
Was it?
Yeah.
My days are just so fucked up. We were reading a particular passage of him and found out that the man was very much of an observer. Regardless of where he was at, being a pirate, during mutinies, whatever, he was just like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm here, okay.
He tended to be on board a lot of ships that participated in piracy,
I felt like that.
He himself, according to him, didn't really participate in the piracy aspect of it.
That was one of the big things.
He was there to travel. Yeah. That guy.
Yeah. That was one of the big things that
he just happened to he got caught up in a lot of shit.
And just that he didn't participate
because he wanted to travel, and he just happened to be there. It was one of those. He was like, I'm selling her. He's like Forrest Gump. He just kind of participated in history.
Life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
He was there for all that really cool shit that happened, but kind of just was there for it.
He was an adventurer. Observers are dangerous.
He was a huge adventurer.
Oh, Clark got a good point. Observers are dangerous people to those who aren't. Just saying.
Yeah.
Las Vegas Lights is sort of like my time in the Navy. You know what? That is all good.
He recorded a lot of it too, because he kept journals while he was circumnavigating the globe. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what we know about piracy came from him because he was one of the few people that wrote things down that he did on a daily basis. He was like a narrator.
Basically. You know, you kind of hope that he was like Morgan Freeman, sitting there narrating a voyage, and then here they were.
Yeah.
Or Samuel L. Jackson, like, motherfucker decided to raise the arms and go in a fucking mutiny against the captain. I don't know which narrator I think he was, but anyway, he just sat there and it was he's a big reason that we understood the piracy, because he clearly wrote about them doing their pirating activities.
Yeah, it was almost like he participated, but he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be doing what he was doing, but he did it anyway. So, and he wrote it down.
Soko says those journals would be cool to read.
It would be very cool.
And they are cool. And I found both books for free.
Yeah, he did write a book that
wrote
was
two.
actually...
He has 2.
And they were actually very popular.
So, if any of you guys are interested, I do have both of the published books. One of them's called His First Voyage, and the other one's Voyaging Across the Globe. They're both 2 very different books. I do have them PDF file if you're interested. Email me at lashing@parlay8.com, and I will send you copies of those because they are free, and I did manage to find them, and I'll be more than happy to share them. Clark says, an educated man is the most dangerous. And it is, because that's how we found out a lot about piracy and the how not all pirates were violent. We've talked about it in the past, that most pirates use fear to be able to come onto another ship and get their shit, and not necessarily the violence of it. Snowcone says, "This motherfucker swung his sword my way." That is exactly what I was thinking when we were reading about him before. Smoke says, "I'm tired of these motherfuckers British on this motherfucking boat."
Yeah.
Pretty much.
He got tired of a lot of shit and was on a lot of boats that had mutinies on them.
Oh,
which is how he...
Like every other...
It's actually kind of how he made his way around the world, is that, the pirates that he was with mutinied, and he'd have to switch over to this ship, and these guys abandoned these guys, and then
he didn't always agree.
This crew abandoned this captain, and he just kind of went with them everywhere they went, and ended up making it around the world.
He was definitely a follower.
Yeah, he was not a good leader, this guy.
Yeah, and even when he became a leader of his own expeditions, they just went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And he actually, when he came back from being a political figure on leading one of the ships, no one wanted to be a part of his voyage on the next one.
Yeah, the Brits kind of told him, "Hey, you go fuck yourself. You're not ever sailing one of our ships again."
Largest game of Red Rover ever. You know what? I honestly think that is a good analogy in general for the English going from the Americas back to England. Red Rover, send Drake right over. I mean, seriously, they just really kind of ping-pong back and forth.
Yeah.
And they would come over and try to establish and fuck up and go back home and get another one.
Reading the history of his life, it's really amazing that he survived what he did and did what he did and made it as far as he did, considering, he was with pirates, and pirates were known to have short lives. This guy didn't really have a short life.
Well, that was like the end of
the fact that he survived all this is just amazing in itself.
Well, he started when he was at the age of 19. And then he died in 1715, and I think he was 68, 69.
He said 63, I think.
He was in his 60s.
Yeah. He was in his 60s.
For 40 years he did this, and for 12 years alone, he was away from England and doing his bounce. And it wasn't just in the Americas. He was in Australia. He was in Africa. He was in the
Galapagos.
Thank you, Galapagos. Hey, I had no problem saying that word earlier when I was reading it.
Yes.
Clark says, just imagine, if you will, if every pirate was a well-educated pirate, that would have been a hell of a tale to twill. I know you meant tell. Jesus.
Yeah.
The only reason why we have the thorough...
There's a reason there's a song called "Rum is the Reason Pirates Never Ruled the World." Because they like to drink and they like the women, and they just couldn't help themselves from getting caught.
But that's not the only reason why records were piss poor back then. I told you about Drake. I told him about Drake. I didn't tell you about Drake. So Sir Francis Drake was given literally a direct order from Queen Elizabeth.
So Francis Drake was long before the Golden Age of piracy. Yeah,
he was 1650s. Obviously, if you know about Sir Francis Drake, obviously he's a Sir because he was knighted. He was sent out to find the Silk Road, basically trying to figure out what the fuck the Spanish were doing that the English weren't, and then find a better route so that the English can prosper and what the Spanish
Which is how he ended up circumnavigating the globe.
He went through Magellan, the Strait of Magellan, and while going through the Strait of Magellan, and he started creating what was called Drake's War, because he had no love for the Spanish, and he was attacking the Spanish when he was doing this.
So, of course, the Spanish consider him
a pirate. We tell you guys all this all the time. Pirate is just a mental perspective of what side you are on. If you're in English and you are given these orders and what you are doing to the English, you are a privateer, you are a hero. but to the countries and everything that you were raiding, you're a pirate. And Sir Francis Drake was a pirate. And one of the things that he pirated and was able to catch was all the maps and the records and everything from the Spanish to figure out how to circumnavigate the Pacific Ocean, because the Pacific
that in itself was a huge treasure.
Pacific Ocean.
So that in itself was a huge treasure, that, and ended up, helping William Dampier later on.
Yep.
Dampier had all these maps.
That's
the reason they were able to navigate the Pacific and go around the tip of South America and be able to do what they did was because of people like Drake.
That's why we say, not all treasure is silver and gold. Let me catch up real quick with you guys. Hey, Lumpy, what's up? I did not say 69, Smoke. Shut up. Park Jason, that's past the speed limit of sex.
What?
Right, anyway. Lumpy Word. Snow says, what's up? Lumpy, what's up? I'm on my own side. It's Lumpy. Pirate is a name for the nameless. Hey, hey, hey. Almost sounds like the age of guerrilla warfare, which is the tactic the U.S. used during World War II to take out one of the highest officers of the Nazi Party. You know what? I do not think that the ideas of war have changed from the early 1700s to today. It's the same philosophy, the same ideas.
Well, they're pirates and follow the war tactics.
No, but they follow the common sense, and I think that's a lot of
what a lot of
the war tactics are. Is just common sense.
Well, especially guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare,
Shut up.
You did everything in battle that was to your advantage, and created scenarios that would guarantee you the win. So, you had to be. It was a little sneaky. Is more what guerrilla warfare was.
Yeah. So you had Drake, who was very upfront and purposeful with what he was doing, with attacking the Spanish. When they really weren't in war, he was considered a pirate. And then you had Dampier, William Dampier, who's actually from Virginia. So we'll just put that out there. Who was really kind of just on for the ride with every excursion, every ship, every crew he was with. He just kind of watched and went with it. And I really feel, after reading what we were reading, that with every mutiny, he sat there and watched with the mutiny. They said he was kind of forced into some of the situations. I think it was more that he started watching and saw where the better chances were and went with that mutiny.
Yeah, that, and he was hooked on being a sailor. Every time he went home, he couldn't stay home. He had to go back out. He was the epitome of a guy that was married to the sea. That
he would be home.
He always found a way.
He would be home, and he'd be home for 3 years. When I say home, he'd be on land and be like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And what's sad is that when he went back to Europe after all of those adventures, everything like that, he was penniless. And honestly, until he took his journals and they were published, that's when, and even the last voyage he was on, that was sanctioned by the government, and they had all that money, it wasn't even released till after he died.
Yeah.
So he really had nothing to show for it.
Times too, because that was later in the golden age of piracy when they were clamping down. So of course they wouldn't have released that.
Yeah, because I said he died 17.
The politics of it.
Yeah.
In the earlier times when he was doing all his thing, going around the world and doing all that, nobody gave a shit. England made them all privateers, and basically they were allowed to do whatever the fuck they wanted. Yeah. When it got later in his life, they started clamping down, like we've said before, the later, you know, part of after the 1700s started rolling around, it became much harder to live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You wanted, being a sailor, you were either a pirate or you were sanctioned. There was no in between. And
well, no. There is an in between. It depends on what side we're looking at.
Yeah.
There is no in between with the country that you are.
Yeah, that well, I meant from the English point of view,
yes,
there was no in between.
Yes. Yeah. But I just want to make sure we're establishing that for the English, you are either a pirate or privateers. You're You're following the rule of law, or you're not. Versus France, Spain, and all these other countries where Spain may say, this is what you're doing for us, and all these other countries are like, you're a fucking pirate, and England be like, no, you're doing exactly what we told you. You're a war hero.
Especially when they were at war, because the English were more obviously inclined to make privateers out of these guys when they were at war, so that they could sneak around and do their guerrilla warfare.
Yeah. So,
for the homeland.
Yeah. So, Clark says the tactics remain the same. The outcome was only as good as the leader in charge. Yes, and that's the same thing what we were talking about with the ship's captain and why Dampier had gone through so many mutineers is because the captain was weak, unfortunately. And that's what it was when the privateer or pirate vessel, they considered the captain to be weak. They can mutiny against it and just do whatever. And when we were reading about it, it was, 960 men to start this flotilla, and it just slowly started dwindling down because of the captains. It's all about the leaders, obviously. You just described strategist, not necessarily a leader. Do we have privateers today? Clark says absolutely. Privateers will always remain for gain for those who hire them. Yes. I cannot say not so much. That we. Okay, I cannot say in today's society, in 2022, that we know who a privateer is.
Well, maybe not so much Navy, more.
Just in general.
More. I think that would more follow the lines of like the Army and things like that, and
Special Forces,
ground warfare, Ops. Because you got guys like
A-Team.
I was just gonna say you've got guys like Blackwater
or A-Team. We watched that last night.
who are sanctioned by the government to do shit like that, but that's all kind of ground warfare, not so
mercenaries.
Yeah, mercenaries. You've got mercenaries. Those would be more along the lines of your privateers.
I would think
but they do all that on land. As far as
Smoke says naval, Somalis. No,
Somalis are they're just straight
guerrilla warfare.
They're pirates. I'm talking about United States.
No. I got what you're saying.
Somalians are pirates.
The question is privateer versus pirates. Somalis are not privateers.
They're pirates.
They're not
modern day pirates.
By any.
And they're not sanctioned.
They're not sanctioned by any government or anything. So they're straight pirates.
I'm talking as far as a government sanctioned privateer. No, there aren't any. As far as if you look at it from the United States point of view, no, there's no privateers now.
So
you have the U.S. Navy, but as far as military is concerned, you have mercenaries and things like that, and guys that are hired by the United States to go into countries and do shit.
Which gets us into
more ground warfare.
I know.
Not naval warfare.
Which gets us into the next one that we were talking about is so-called a pirate. I think that's a great segue.
It is.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Yes. I think that is an outstanding segue into our next pirate. Oops, sorry. I'm rubbing on my mic. Trying to fix the cord. Okay, I'm there.
Yes.
Your mic's up. Okay, we're still good.
Yes.
I have to check now. Make sure it's not between your legs.
Yes.
But our next pirate, so Dampier, just to recap, we would say he is not a true pirate. He was in with the pirates. I think of him, like I was saying, as a narrator, like a Samuel Jackson or Morgan Freeman type person. But
if he had that voice.
If he had that voice. We don't know what his voice was. But that
would be cool if he did.
It would be.
Wouldn't it be awesome to have like a documentary of his life narrated by...
I want Morgan Freeman and Samuel L. Jackson to narrate my life. Thank you very much. So, Dampier was really prominent in the first half of the Golden Age piracy, which we talked about. He died in 1715. Our next person that we're going to refer to really isn't in the Golden Age piracy and kind of has a dear hold place in my heart for one reason or another. But who is our next person that is not so much we would not think is a pirate?
That would be John Paul Jones. And I'm not talking about the bass player from Led Zeppelin either. John Paul Jones was...
Shut up. Hold on. Let me catch up real quick. Clark says foreign investment. Soko says real. Lumpy says the U.S. Navy has submarines. Las Vegas Luddite. Would the merchant marines be considered privateers? Maybe not.
They're... No.
Yeah.
They don't...
Smoke says Lumpy going down with men
raid
doesn't...
ships. They just carry...
Smoke says Lumpy going down with men doesn't make them pirates. Clark says maybe buck pirates. Lumpy, prove that it doesn't, Smoke.
Will you find me a merchant marine ship that's attacked a naval vessel in the past 50 years, and then we'll start talking.
But anyway, back to
John Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones.
So he was huge.
Does anybody know who John Paul Jones is? First of all, in the chat, any of you guys, Las Vegas, Lumpy, Clark, do you guys know who John Paul Jones is? For as much shit as you've been talking about the Navy, not yet begun the fight. Fuck yes.
See, no.
Las Vegas, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the name of the ship they were. Was that? They were
Ranger.
on the Ranger.
They were on the Ranger.
They were on the Ranger, but I can't
Ranger.
remember what ship that they were battling.
Oh, they were okay. So they were on the Ranger. They were with another ship that was supposed to be assisting them.
Because that battle that you're referring to,
that battle was so fucked up.
Fucking epic, man.
And it was fucked up to begin with. If it doesn't involve going down with men, then Lumpy doesn't.
And part of the reason that you could call him a pirate when he wasn't really a pirate.
Damn the torpedoes. There were no torpedoes. Maybe drug smugglers that hijack boats and planes for running could be considered pirates. Alright, hold on. Alright, pause. Let's go back to JPJ. Yes, I call him JPJ. So, John Paul Jones is also what my alma mater named their basketball stadium. Is the father of naval...
He's basically one of the fathers of the United States Navy.
Yes.
But before that, he was actually born in England. He was English.
No, he was Scottish.
Well, yes.
Okay, if you're talking about
born
the whole... Yes, that whole...
Yes, that
area. Are we going Vogue here, honey? Vogue. Vogue?
Yes.
We're going to go Vogue. Yes, so he was actually Scottish, and I'm actually surprised you didn't make sure you pointed that out.
Well. Sorry.
So is a unicorn. What? Shut up, Smoke. DeVoe, yes, DeVoe. But yeah, he was born a Scotsman, and he actually left the Great Britain area before it was actually called Great Britain, because he was not the most popular captain. It was actually kind of violent. He left because he actually killed one of his guys, didn't he? He wanted to go on trial.
Yeah, there was a mutiny on the ship that he was on,
suppressed that
and
shit.
He killed some motherfuckers.
He suppressed it.
And, yeah, kind of got in trouble for that.
Big
too.
trouble.
And I see now here, it's been a little while since we did the research on him, so I remember.
He came. Well,
I remember things that happened, but I don't remember names and details and names of ships and all
I don't
that.
remember. I know that he was overseas. He was getting in trouble. His brother was here in Virginia. He had a plantation. His brother died. So he came over here exactly at the time and place where he was about to get in trouble. It was like, It was like destiny intertwined. It'd be like JPJ. Oh wait a minute, not only the only thing.
Density.
He was what was his name before he came over? Was it just John?
It was
Paul?
just John Paul.
It was just John Paul.
He actually changed his name when he came to the colonies. Well, I mean,
Gangsta. Sorry, what was that? I'm
trying to
say it again.
Think of time period because I don't
know
if it was the United States yet. He was
the colonies. It was not the revolution because he came over and that's why he attacked England.
Well, I do know that he was. The Ranger was. Wasn't the Ranger one of the first ship to fly the colors of the United States?
So
Sergeant.
They did. I don't know.
The original United States flag. So one of the ships he was on.
It was during the Revolutionary War. Yes. That's why he went over and started kicking Britain's ass.
Yes.
Tried to kick Britain's ass.
But the ship.
I hope we don't have any Brits on.
The ship that he was on was one of the first ships to fly the United States flag.
I don't remember if he
I don't remember which ship it was. But one of the ships.
No, but he did. He was on the Ranger. So
we're fucking this all up. Sorry. We're working it out.
So hold on. One of the big things, one of the highlights of JPJ's career is that him being the grandfather of or father, whatever the fuck the terminology ended up being for the American Navy. So we were going through the American Revolutionary War, and they were like. We just need to stop Britain. We need to fuck Britain's shit up. So JPJ was known to be a really good sailor, and they gave him his own ship, and they were like, all right, go over there and just fuck up Britain's shipping. So his big thing was that he went over there, and he was basically a pirate. That's how he became a pirate. That's why we're talking about him. He was taking all the
off
commerce.
The ships.
Yeah. He was going after.
He was killing it, man. This guy.
Yeah.
And
he was going after all the supply ships, all of their commerce. I mean, he was like
off the coast of England
and taking on the ship and increasing his flotilla from the Ranger, which was his. And then he got this brilliant idea to, and I don't remember which port it was, but it was because he grew up in Scotland. And he learned how to sail under English rule. One of the ports, he was very...
Where he lived. Whitehall?
That sounds familiar, but I don't know if it's right. But he was very... You're going to look because he's going to bug the shit out of you. So, while he looks up the name of the place, he decided out of this one ship, because at this point it was a one-ship flotilla, that they were going to go and just really fuck England up. And the idea is they went into this port that he was very familiar with because that's where he grew up, that's where he learned to sail. And then they split off into two groups. One group was going to go up to the cannons, and they were going to spike the cannons. And this is something...
They did spike the cannons. Whitehaven.
It was Whitehaven. Okay, you're close enough. And so they went to Whitehaven, and half of the group split, and they went and spiked cannons. And what that means is when you spike the cannons is you're literally putting a spike in the touch hole. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they put the spike in the touch hole so the cannons wouldn't go off. And the other group was supposed to go and burn all the ships in Whitehaven. And there was, like, some pretty prominent ships
there. A lot of ships there, because it was a military port. So there were a lot of military ships there surrounding this fort.
No, he's not a Brit. Ask first, ask later. That was kind of the attitude. They went out there, they spiked the cannons, and the other group that was supposed to go and burn the ships, what happened with them? This is your favorite part of the story.
They realized that they didn't
They didn't
their
realize
lanterns.
They found out.
They realized they didn't have enough oil for their lanterns, and their lanterns went out.
Their lanterns
went. They went ashore. They got the bright idea to go to shore because they.
Well, they were trying to, yeah.
They figured the pub in town would have the oil they needed for their lanterns.
Somewhere? Lanterns?
So they get to the pub, and what do they do instead of getting the oil for their lanterns?
What do?
They get drunk. These geniuses went in there and got drunk and forgot to get the
smoke that they needed for the lanterns.
They forgot to get the oil for the lanterns, and
didn't show back the ship.
They waited too long to get back out to the ship, and by the time they get out there, it was starting. Absolutely. It was getting to be morning, and the sun was starting to come up. So it was kind of giving away their position, and they started one ship on fire, thinking if they did that it would burn them all. But unfortunately,
because they waited so long.
Yeah.
They couldn't. People came out and they put it out.
Yeah, the ship that they started on fire, they just the crews put that out real quick before
and then they went to the cannons to try shooting the cannons. So thankfully.
Yeah, the only reason they were able to escape is because earlier in the night when they went and spiked the cannons,
saved their ass.
The cannons wouldn't fire, so they made their escape.
And then the best part of all of this was that because they fucked that up, they decided they were going to go kidnap the governor. I don't know if it was the same island or not.
It was a gentleman that.
He was a governor or something. So they went to go kidnap him. And he wasn't there. And the lady of the house brought him in and felt so horrible. And again, this is based off the documentation we have read. So who knows if the fuck is true. So she felt so bad. She's like, here, take my silver. Bring it back. Because you cannot kidnap us and ransom us. John Paul Jones is known for that. And obviously that was probably a big, just a fuck up. Well, we even look as a fuck up. But it was probably to them was still a good raid because of Spike of the Cannons making that impression out there. Yeah. And he had a... Well, go on.
So, after Whitehaven, Jones next crossed the Solway Firth from Whitehaven to Scotland, hoping to hold for ransom Dunbar Douglas, 4th Earl of Selkirk, who lived on St. Mary's Island.
And he wasn't there.
Kirkcudbright. The Earl, Jones reasoned, could be exchanged for American sailors impressed into the Royal Navy. The Earl was discovered to be absent from his estate, which led to what she was just talking about.
Yeah. Here, that's silver.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's not here. What the fuck does that shit? I mean, really? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want you to get in trouble.
The even more funny thing about it is when she gave him that treasure, she filled the bottom of the box with like rock, and then
put the silver
on top to make him think that it was full.
Oh, and on top of it.
So when they got on the ship, they realized that it wasn't even the amount of treasure that they should have had.
And on top of it, years later, he wanted to return the silver.
Yeah, with a.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Saying, so sorry. Sorry, but not sorry. Hashtag. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, he is bizarre. Okay, so he is bizarre.
But he tried. He tried, and he sank a lot of ships.
He did sink a lot of ships. He did do a lot, and that's why he's called the father of the Navy of USA. What is really more fascinating, I think, about the whole ordeal is that everything that happened in the States, and he was basically kind of blackballed in the States for some of his campaigns, and he kind of he did just, and then even after, basically he was needed after the Revolutionary War, that's all he knew. And that's kind of the idea with pirates and privateers and all that, is that at the end of these wars, this is all they fucking know. So what are they going to do? So what JPJ did, in less eloquent words, is he hoarded himself out to other countries.
Yeah.
And he was, he worked for Russia, he worked for Germany, and he also worked for France. So when he died,
and like all these countries, they gave him ships and gave him commands and all that.
And when he died in France, at least in the France region. So what France did is they took his body and they put him in alcohol and they buried him in an unmarked grave.
Just
for all
French.
And then apparently in France, if you're not French and you're not of their religion, they just put you in this unmarked
bury you in
grave,
alcohol.
and they buried him in alcohol. And it took 100 years for America, who called this man the father of the U.S. Navy, to figure out where the fuck the man was buried at. And they got him, who was in alcohol. So that means his body apparently was really preserved.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's buried in Annapolis, but they brought him back, and they brought him to Annapolis, and they put him in a marble sarcophagus.
Jones's body was brought to the United States aboard the USS Brooklyn, escorted by 3 other cruisers on approaching America's coastline. 7 U.S. Navy battleships joined the procession and escorted Jones's body back to America. On April 24th, 1906, Jones's coffin was installed in Bancroft Hall in the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. His sarcophagus is in
his woman. So
the Naval Academy in Annapolis.
Do me a favor and just Google.
Google it because
John, Annapolis, Maryland. It is a black marble sarcophagus.
It's ridiculous.
I just look at the thing and like, are we idolizing this man? What the fuck? Anyway, Jesus, you guys were going on and I wasn't paying attention. She's mad you smoke. Apparently we're not talking about me. They got hoodwinked, what a wuss. But women aren't smart, as they said back then. Who said, everyone knows women have always been smarter. It ain't right. All good, 1905, no. Annapolis. Yes, Lumpy. I knew it was Annapolis. I'm just getting West Point and Annapolis mixed up. I always knew it was Annapolis. Go look at the pictures of the black sarcophagus. I feel like we're like with aliens. It's all about aliens. Historically, women were worth nothing more than their virtuous status to gain alliance and use like...
What did you guys start talking about here? I feel like you weren't following us.
Lumpy. He is a saint. He is a saint. That's what I'm saying. He's in a sarcophagus. Is he a saint or is he not? Is he fucked up or is he not? He's fucked up. JP Jr. Rum to source facts and memories. No, I don't think it's just a rum. It's just been a long week. It's been a rough week.
Rum might have had something to do with it.
It has not much to do with it. So to have women in that time hoodwink a crew is fascinating me. West Point is in New York. It's marble and bronze. Well, we only have 3 minutes left. That was actually a really fast hour. And we did get to talk to the 2. I'm glad we only decided on 2.
Yeah.
It was,
I don't know that we could have found too many more.
No, well, I think we could have found more, but I think I think
we found 2 good ones.
I think we found 2 great ones, and I think that we spent enough time tonight talking about both of them. I feel that we gave you guys enough of the education of what we knew about those 2 pirates.
And you guys educated us, because you guys seem to know a little bit about John Paul Jones, so that's good, because we kind of did the research on that a little while ago.
Well, the only reason why I was all excited about it is because John Paul Jones, it
was a really good bass player in Led Zeppelin, dude.
That's not what I was going to fucking say.
I know. That's what I said.
And I'm pretty sure that's not why they named the basketball arena at my alma mater
I'm pretty sure it isn't either.
So that's kind of the things, and we enjoyed reading about Dampier today. It was one of those. What was really cool about reading Dampier today? Dampier. And it's something that we might end up kind of tracking over this season as we talk about these different people, is that they're kind of a spider web on how they interact with each other. So Dampier was interacting with Edward Davis. Yeah, Edward Davis. And Edward Davis is a huge name down here in this area because Edward Davis, when he was captured with his two friends, is the reason why William and Mary was established. When they went to trial, and that was their plea bargain, they gave up their booty on that. So, and we've talked about that in the past. So it's interesting that when you read about Dampier, is that he had connections with Davis, and then you read about Edward Davis and the connections he has. So what Ballast and I are going to try to start doing is creating this little spider web of all these different pirates and how they're connected. And it will be interesting to see at the end of this season.
That's actually kind of a cool idea for an episode, to kind of talk about different pirates and who they knew and how they were connected to each other and why.
I think a lot of
we could talk about that.
I think a lot of our friends who come and watch us would be very interested in seeing those connections and how
who
we
knew
talk
each other
about
and who didn't know each other.
Yeah,
you know, because you
Portergold and Blackbeard and Vane and all this.
Yeah.
You guys,
and how they knew each other
all talk about all this.
And maybe why they knew each other.
I like Booty. Booty is not going to be on the spiderweb, Clark. I am so sorry. It's just not there.
Booty's the reason they did it all.
But Booty is the reason why they did it all. Were there any women privateers? Yes, there were. There absolutely was. And I've talked about this in the past. And then especially March, obviously for Women's History Month, we're going to hit more of them. But just for your sake, Las Vegas, you had Grace O'Malley from the early 1500s who was in charge of her land when her brothers died and her father died, and she actually went to the Queen of England and basically told that woman to back the fuck off. But that's a story for another day. Then you had Mary Read and Anne Bonny. There are women pirates out there. Women privateers, women pirates, as you may hear. It was very superstition for women to be on board a ship, so a lot of the women disguise themselves as men. There are very few out there who are very blatant in who they were. Cheng Shi, a Chinese woman. I mean, there are women out there who came out and were like, we are women, hear us roar. And there are others who are just kind of keeping their shit in the backstory. So, but that is another story.
For another day.
That is another day, and it's something that we could totally go down the rabbit hole on. But
we have before.
And we will again. So, you guys come out and keep up with us. Like we said,
next week
we will not be around. Like I said, unfortunately, we have some family stuff we need to take care of. We will be back the following week, and we will keep going. We're talking about, if you guys have any interest or questions, let us know in the Port
Royal.
Thank you. Come join us in Port Royal. And we will see you guys next time. Until then, hashtag... Drink more rum. Be
baby.
Safe.
Just do it.
Just
drink more rum.
Just drink more rum.
Yeah.
Be safe. Drink more rum. And we will.
Good night, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Love you all.